Hey there, and welcome to our fourth LOU podcast. I'm Paul Lebo, the Chief Operating Officer for Frederick County Public Schools, and I'm pleased to have with me today Mr. Steve Horn, who is the Director of Planning and Permitting at Frederick County Government, as well as Ms. Janice Spiegel, who's the Director of Education and Special Initiatives, who are here to talk to us about some exciting topics related to the Linganore, Oakdale, Urbana areas. As you know, Frederick County Public Schools is constructing several new schools in the Linganore, Oakdale, Urbana area of the county in response to capacity issues at the elementary and middle school levels. We'll be opening two elementary schools in Urbana in the fall of 2020, the new Sugarloaf Elementary and the replacement school for Urbana Elementary. With these two schools, they will add approximately 930 seats to the area. Then the following year, FCPS will open the new Blue Heron Elementary in Lake Linganore, as well as an addition to Oakdale Middle School. And these two projects will add about 700 elementary and 300 middle school seats to the area. FCPS is conducting a redistricting study to establish the attendance boundaries for the two new schools and to balance the enrollments among the other elementary schools in the area, as well as middle and high schools. One of the most frequently asked questions during our redistricting study is, what is the status of residential development that has been approved in this part of the county?
So I'm going to take that one today, and thank you for having us today. I'm Janice Spiegel. And so the status of what's going on in the county right now is that building permits are up. And I think Steve will give you a little bit more specific information about that. But in general, building permits are up. We are seeing building in both the Urbana and Monrovia area, as well as the Lake Linganore and Oakdale areas of the county. And we expect that this is going to continue probably for the foreseeable future. We are seeing also some residential growth around the county in the Brunswick area, Ballinger Creek area, and Frederick City areas, although those are not really covered in this redistricting currently. We are seeing some additional growth in those areas. So although county permits tend to be up, in the city of Frederick, they're down slightly this year, and Steve can talk about that a little bit too. But I would just like to add that right now, for the foreseeable future, we don't expect any additional new residential developments to come into fruition since County Executive Jan Gardner took office in December of 2014. No new residential developments have been approved. We're currently seeing the build out of residential developments that were approved prior to that term of office. So, and we have seen some developments come in and change their mix of houses. But in general, we're just seeing the build out of development that was approved somewhere between the 2011 and 2014 timeframe.
No, that's really great information. Could we talk just a little more about how fast those residential developments are building out and what the residential building permits issued each year for the past 5 years looks like?
Sure will. Thank you, Paul. This is Steve Horn from the Planning and Permitting Division. Just wanted to address that, I guess the question of pace of development. We do continue to see an absorption rate, particularly in the Urbana and the Oakdale areas, that kind of continues to cut into the county's kind of pipeline of residential growth. Residential units are available. We see roughly 300 a year that take place in those areas. That's a little bit less down in the Linganore community, for example. But we do kind of, I think, as Janice mentioned, we kind of continue. We will expect to continue to see that progress into the foreseeable future. Interestingly, I wanted to add on to the comment that Janice made about the lack of new residential development that's been approved in the past few years. We went back and looked in terms of the total pipeline that had been approved previously. We did see in 2013 and 2014 a pretty substantial increase in the number of lots that were approved at those times. Roughly 6,000 units were approved in those 2 years. And I think, as Janice mentioned, we're seeing that kind of build out now as that lag between when they're approved and when they finally become constructed takes place.
No, we certainly understand the timeline that it takes to plan for building as we look to the future. This has been a very informative podcast. I really want to thank Janice and Steve for taking the time to come over and talk with us today, and we at FCPS certainly appreciate the great working relationship we have with our staff at the Frederick County Government.